something going on there. Yeah. Yes. Like talking to you. You used to think people were nuts and they walk down the street. Now you're saying, oh, they're talking on their phone. Like times change. Or drunk. All right, Boker Tov, everybody. Welcome. Leo Nishmat Avigdor Chayavram Ben Mirzi Rachalea, and also for all those who've been hurt in the war and any other terror attacks associated with it, of course. Boker Tov. We're going to pick it up at Mishnah Gimel. We read briefly last week, just get a little bit of introduction. Now we're going to go to some more background on it. I will be making reference to my phone a couple of times. Instead of printing something out, I just put it on my phone and I'll read and explain. Okay, let's first take a look at the Mishnah. It mentions the first of the zugot, first of the pairs. It mentions both names. One Mishnah has his information, and the next Mishnah is the second person. Yossi ben Yoezer ish Tzreida, Yossi ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim kipu mehem. We talked about this last week about what do you mean kipu mehem when it was only Antignos. So Yossi ben Yoezer, and we also pointed out that Ish meant that he was the most significant person in that community. They received their Torah from Antigonos Ish Socho. Yossi ben Yoezer Ish Tzreida Omer. What did he say? He beitcha beit va'ad lechachamim. Your home should be a place for people to gather, for chachamim to gather, like this room is always. We all come together. You should have all the chachamim in here. And you should sit in the dust, or you should indust yourself. We talked about this last week. And what does that mean to become dusty from the dust of the feet of the chachamim? And you should also drink their words in with thirst. Okay, so that's this simple. Let me just call up what I wanted to have here on my phone. Okay, and where is it? This, right? I think. Okay. So, so the first thing I want to talk about is what is this Mishnah telling us about? What's its general theme? The theme is the home. The theme is making sure that not only is there a level, you have to buzz, Martin, buzz. I think. Oh no, never mind. False alarm. Not only do you need to have a situation where your home is a nice place, a place of Torah, but it also has to be a moshech. It has to draw people in, one that feels ready to host people in your home for Torah, a gathering place. Meaning, let's say you have a very nice house and you just don't necessarily learn Torah, you don't live by Torah, so you may want to have people over, but and maybe have give a shir in the house, but you want that the people are going to feel comfortable that they're coming to a house that lives with Torah. That's very important. They should.
People were also into the games.
Yes, like exactly. See, this is why it's all very important when you talk about Pirke Avot, especially to understand why is it they're saying certain things. Why is this so important? Of all the things Yossi ben Yoezer and Yossi ben Yochanan could have said, why? Because at this time period right in history, things were beginning to fall apart a little bit socially. They were getting a lot more integrated, assimilated. So they're trying to bring it back to the home. That's first of all. I'm gonna read something from the Rashi Beitz that he said. Says, how is it that you make sure your home is ready for this? Ki telech b'derech tovim. When you go in, it should be tovot, but okay. Derech is nekeva. Why? I don't know. Ki telech b'derech tovot. Chot tzadikim tishmor. If you go the right way and you follow in the path of tzadikim, ve'et yirei Hashem techabed, and you also honor those who are in awe of Hashem, then you end up becoming a person who really is someone who's machshiv Torah. You give importance to Torah, and it also makes you a catalyst to bring Torah into your home. Because without that, lo yitkabzu chachamim beveitecha. You're not going to be a very welcoming kind of place for chachamim to come. So let's put this into perspective. Let's say, for example, you know somebody, they have plenty of money, they have a nice big house, they're not the most scrupulous in business. Yeah, they shuckle and they daven, but they're not most scrupulous in business. So is that really where the Chachamim want to come and host and teach shiurim? Maybe, because maybe they'll think they'll have an influence on it. That's the other perspective. But why you have to go to there when you could have it where you lechatchila, you try at the very beginning to try to make your home something that's worthwhile for people who want to come. Now, the Meiri tells us something interesting. It's not just that the place should be open to Chachamim, but it should be made achsanai. Achsanai is a term used throughout Talmud in many places. It's almost like an inn or when you do hachnasat orchim, we would call hachnasat orchim. So you should even make it that people would want to, the Chacham will want to stay in your house. There are stories, legends of during, especially the early 1900s, and not early, in the mid 1900s, when Judaism was starting to once again grow within the United States after the Holocaust. And you've heard from many people, some of you at the table even, where, I remember that my grandfather had the Rabbi so-and-so spent 2 days in our house to come and teach Torah in the community. And all. It was part of us, but not just come, teach, leave, but like I'm moving in here. I forgot to tell you, I'm going to be moving in starting next week. You have a room for me? In the attic, okay. Exactly, right, exactly. So what Martin's referring to is that Elisha, the prophet, who would, and we talked about him before in here, would go from community to community. He was the prophet after Eliyahu Navi, and he went to a specific city of Shunem. And there's a woman who decided, she told her husband, she this is what we're doing, we're making a special room for him. So whenever he came to the community, that he would in fact have a place with Gehazi, his sidekick, to be able to stay. So that was very good. I'm going to tell you another. That's from the Navi. I'll tell you a person I know, with no name, obviously. There's a family that lives in Detroit. Well, it's not Detroit. It's in, what's it called? Southfield. No, it's Southfield. That they have a beautiful home. And we stayed there. I've stayed there with my wife a couple of times. We've had occasion to be in the area. And we go downstairs and you open up the drawers in the bathroom downstairs. They have it also little soaps and shampoos and everything. So I just made a comment. It's like a hotel. So he told me that to put my stuff in. And to check what meds they're using. And how do you feel about that? And he told me, we started talking about how it's just so beautiful downstairs. I even said that it's actually a little bit nicer downstairs than their main floor. We're very close friends, so we could talk like that. He said, well, we made a decision when we moved into the house that any money we put into the house is going to be for one of two things, either repairs or achnasat orchim. That's it. We're not going to make it look fancy and schmancy, and we want people to feel more comfortable than we might feel in our own home. And it was absolutely clear. It was so clear. And I know people stay there quite often in their home. So it includes the kind of making people feel welcome in your home. Now, I want to read to you a comment from Chaim Volozhin. If I can turn my phone sideways, there we go. We're going to talk about the next statement, which is v'havei mitabek b'afar raglehem. You should, it's a metaphor in one way, meaning you should try to stay as close to the chachamim as possible. What does it mean, the dust? Because when you walk, especially here in Ma'ale Adumim, you kick up dust, right? So if you're close enough to be in their dust, not to the eat my dust kind of thing, but you're close enough, that means you're close to them. So it's a metaphor. But listen to what he says here. I'm going to read, it's not in front of you. Muvanama pashut shel advarim hu. The simple meaning of the words v'havei mitabek faradehem is sheyeshev balabayit b'atzmo ala karka. That maybe it means, in the simplest, that the homeowner sits on the floor. V'yinaheg b'chachamim b'derech shel kavod u'pniya. So one opinion is, it means, now we're not talking about nowadays, but in the times when not everyone had chairs and couches and stuff. So you would sit on the floor, the teacher would stand, and you would sit among them, and you'd be by their feet. Achen, but there are other opinions. Another possibility, this is Rashi. He says that, you know what it means to be by the dust of their feet? It means to treat yourself almost like dust next to them. What does that mean? Okay, so maybe it's not your up to your kavod of your level of honor for yourself to do something like, I have someone who can go fill the pitcher of water, but no, I'm going to do it. Remember, that's also falls into regular you want to do for your guest. It doesn't go unnoticed that every week I come in here, there's a glass of water and there's water on the table. That's just, it's a constant. Okay. Another possibility, this is, yeah. There's another perush that says as follows. This is Reb Chaim Volozhin. Shemitabek kan hu lashon hitavkut umilchama. Now, we know that in Pashat Vayetze, which might be coming up, maybe, I don't know. That's what I hear. It's in all the papers. And then we see Vayetze, the series Parashiyot, Toldot, Vayetze, Vayishlach, a lot of the Yaakov Avinu stories. Vayitabek, Vayavek ish imo adalot hashachar. Yosef, Yaakov has a battle overnight with the Sarosh shel Esav, the angel of Esav. Vayeavek, and Ma'avak is also a war, a battle. So listen to what Rav Chaim Volozhin says, is that you should engage the Chachamim in battle, even though you should subjugate yourself to your Rav, to meaning that you should listen to him and with all respect, that you are allowed to express your difference of opinion with him. Now that is groundbreaking. Let me explain to you why. Chaim Volozhin lived in 17 something. I don't remember the exact. I don't keep that in my head. 1700 something. If you remember, you could let me know. And maybe even later. Yeah, it's just when you were a kid, so you could maybe remember. You met him, I think. Yeah. See, I don't just pick on you, Mark. So there is, as we've come further and further down the road since the 18th, 19th centuries, I've seen an interesting split in approaches to coming up with new ideas of Torah. If I want to come up with a chiddush, I read a pasuk and I say, wow, you know what? I think this is what the meaning of the pasuk. Look, Rashi has his opinion, but I have an additional opinion. There are schools of thought that say, unless the Ramban said or Rashi said, you can't say it. You can't come up with new stuff on your own. And by the way, I've had many, not a few, many conversations over the years with people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and over that say, well, that's what we were told. We're not allowed to come up with our own ideas. That's horrible. The opposite is true. And this is the Chaim Volozhin is telling us this. The father of all the yeshivot that exist today. He was the founder of the yeshiva concept. And he said that this idea of Yitabek B'afar Rabbehem means, listen to what they're saying, but engage. Don't just sit there and go, Yeah, he was the first one debated with Hashem. He debated with God himself, right? Which I feel we can also, but that's a different story. So that's, according to Reb Chaim Volozhin, that's what this idea is. It's not just a concept of kniyah, being like subjugating yourself to the chacham. It's not just about being near them and learning from them, but it's also a matter of like the yitabek, also to engage in and don't just accept something. Unfortunately, let me make sure it's not someone sitting here, so I don't say. Hold on, who was it? They asked me just a minute. Oh no, it's not. It's not. Someone asked me. They said they attend online, attend a shiur. Someone, he said X, whatever he said, and absolutely is not accurate. Absolutely not. And it's I think a gross misstatement of what we believe. And she says, well, there's so many people just, She was on Zoom and everyone's going, She says, I know it's not right, but maybe I'm losing my mind. So she called me up. I said, no, it's not right. I said, you don't have to, she didn't want to speak up. I said, but you might want to contact him and just have a little offline discussion. Well, he's the teacher. I said, so what? Just because he's the one standing there, he's got the pulpit, so to speak, doesn't make him right. I've had it one time. I may have told the story in here. One time I gave my Shabbat morning Torah in Chicago. Right when I finished, a guy came, he ran up to me. He said, do you just realize you just said what the conservatives are doing, or the conservative Jews are doing is right or wrong? I said, what are you talking about? He said, you said blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, you're right. The way I phrased it was backwards. I meant to say this, and I stopped it down. I actually stopped the davening. I told him to sit back down. And I corrected it, because just because I say something doesn't mean it's going to be right. Right? Just ask my wife. Okay. You should take in the words of the Chachamim with thirst. And this is what we sort of touched on last week a bit. It's not just Drinking to hydrate yourself is drinking because you're thirsty. There's a very big difference. By the way, in parentheses, I may have told you this before, I don't remember. If you drink during the day just to hydrate, not because you're thirsty, just because you know you have to drink to hydrate yourself, you don't make a bracha, you don't make a shakol. You only make a shakol, and it's only true about water. Then you make a shakol only if you're thirsty. So too, if you're taking a pill, you don't make a shakol. If you want to drink because you weren't thirsty, so you make a shakol and then take the pill after. But if you're just taking a pill with water, you don't have to make a shakol because the water is considered tafel, secondary to the pill. And for a pill, you don't. If you take medicine that's liquid, has like a taste like cherry or something like that, that you make a shakol on. But otherwise, no. Okay. Say again? Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you don't like it?
No, if it's bitter, then no. If it's bitter, then you don't. And the proof of that is that on Tisha B'Av or Yom Kippur, if you have to take medication, one of the ways you do it, if you can't take it without water, is you put a little drop of something in it that makes it a little bittery, and so that's not considered drinking anymore. So here, just a little bit like a taste of hints of arsenic. I don't know.
You say, like, if it's bitter, that's a personal. So you're saying if it's bitter to you,
Right. Right.
Like kids' medications are disgusting, but they love
right, but they love it. Bubblegum flavor, cherry flavor. That's why they put the flavoring in, so they'll have it. I still take amoxicillin like that. I'm sure almost every family, I don't know about here, but in the United States, every family that little kids had a little red ring in the refrigerator where the amoxicillin bottle always ended up. Right? Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
They came down to the vote. They would ask the youngest verbatim, the least verbatim to speak first.
It depends on the case.
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of case.
It's a serious case.
Money versus a capital case are
Yeah.
two different ways. Yes.
Yeah, because they
Right.
don't want, because they knew that you didn't want to contradict the.
Correct.
That seems to be contradicting somewhat what you said.
Well, first of all, remember, keep in mind, this is Chaim Volozhin's opinion. This is his opinion. But there's a very big difference between contradicting or getting into a discussion or an argument with the teacher versus when you're in a judicial setting. Because in both cases, you're looking for the truth. Everyone, whatever reason you would be arguing with somebody should only be because you want to get to the truth, not because you just want to hear your own voice, correct? What's that? I should have that on the same page. But there it's more of a psychological reason. You understand? This isn't a psychological thing, or I'm basically being given permission from Rav Chaim Volozhin to, my Rav says something, so wait, I understand. Didn't you teach us that in Hilchot Basar V'Challah, blah, 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 blah? Okay. But psychologically, when you're talking about, I'm deciding someone's fate, if someone asks me a shayla, and I know I'm right, but they'll say like, okay, I don't want to, and I've had plenty of cases of people say, look, I don't want to contradict you, but I think maybe just check again because I heard blah, blah, blah. I question myself. I said, okay, I mean, maybe you are allowed to eat pork on Tisha B'Av. I don't know. So I double check. But you can't. Right. You're asking the wrong person questions now. You're all in trouble. That's right. By the way, it's better to eat pork on Tisha B'Av, not Yom Kippur, pork on Tisha B'Av, while speaking Lashon Hara, than eating a piece of broccoli without having checked it.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah, because a bug is 6 averot. One bug is 6 averot. Eating pork is 1 aver. That's it. It's no different than, I mean, we make it a big deal because it is. It's like the quintessential thou shalt not. But it's really no different than doing another averah. Okay. Anyways, so there it's more of a psychological thing because here you're deciding someone's fate. That's the only thing. But that's the whole point here. We're saying that why they do it there.
But in that case, they don't think that the younger Rebbeim would actually express what they really feel, but we see what it gets it.
Right. So you're saying it's contradicting the approach of Chaim Volozhin, correct? That's okay. It disagrees with. Okay, Elu Velu. I mean, there's different reasons. I mean, and by the way, not everyone will agree with Chaim Volozhin either. Just like I just said, teachers, you go to the average. I hate to knock on Beis Yaakov, but the average Beis Yaakov that teaches the girls to walk down the hall and kiss every mezuzah they ever see. So they're going to tell you can't just make stuff up. You can't just make stuff up. It has to be based in Torah. And if I say, oh, that pasuk proves that I'm allowed to work on Shabbat, obviously you can't do that. But as long as it's not going against the meaning of Torah and what it stands for, no. And that's what he's saying here about Havei Mitabek. That's at least his opinion. When he talks about where does he get this idea of some this thirst? A pasuk, very famous pasuk in Yeshayahu, Hoi kol samei l'chulamayim. Everyone who's thirsty should go to the water to drink, and the water is Torah. So we know that the idea is that we don't just want to learn Torah. You want to have a passion for it. You want to have a connection to it, a feeling. Let's say I came in here and I was really, really, really thirsty. And I took this glass in my hand. What is my feeling towards that? It's not going, wow, this is pretty cool. I have water. I can thank Hashem. I have to thank who gave it to me. I have to thank the bracha. We don't go through that stage of actually verbalizing it, but in our brain we do, because like, well, Baruch Hashem, I have the water, and I make a bracha. I'm doing it. So, but I'm taking that water now. Like if I take a sip right now, I'm not thirsty, but maybe after talking for a little, I want a little bit of liquid in my throat, right? But if I were thirsty, the relationship between me and that water would be very different. I really want that water now. So that's the opinion, that's the approach of what we're talking about here. We also say Torah Hashem Tzmima Mishivat Nafesh, that it's thirst, it's the soul, it quenches the thirst of the soul. So let's just kind of look at the general Mishnah for a second again. We have really twofold message here in this Mishnah. It's not just that we want Chachamim to come to your home, it's also you want them to feel comfortable, which we already said. It has to be a place that's worthy, building values in your home. Some people act one way on the outside of their home and very differently in the inside of their home. I told you the story of Yemima Mizrahi about, did I tell you this one? I mean, she's got thousands of stories, but I probably told you the story about how she said something once. She was talking to a group of women I had seen a video of. Did I tell you this? Maybe I told you in the last class, maybe. I'll just tell real quickly. She's talking to this a group of women in LA. She's talking in English. And it's about at least 15 years ago, maybe more. And she was talking about how we are so sweet when we go out and we do our chesed and we do all our things and we go to the people and we take care of this person, that person, and we come in the house and we become Ahmadinejad. So the way she said it was just, and all the women start laughing because they go like this. They're all going like that. So chas v'shalom, that doesn't mean like that. It's a little bit of an exaggeration. But what she's saying is that sometimes we act one way in public. And by the way, this happens very often. How we treat other people outside our home versus how we treat our own people in our own home. Sometimes there's a dissonance, which is very bad, right? Because why would I hold the door for this person, but I won't for my own wife or my own child? You have to, how you deal with your family is critical. And that's part of the message of this is the outside of the house, how we act, and inside the house, how we act. What is this? Okay, and the second idea, that not only do we want to interact with the Chachamim and listen to their Divrei Torah, but also to learn from their actions. What does that mean? I don't know. I imagine maybe one or two of you have been in the presence of some Gadol Hador at some point. You've seen them either in person or you've maybe watched something of theirs. And like, okay, how does he do that? How does he put on his tefillin? Or how does he, whatever, make a bracha? You look to see how they're doing certain things. And you pick up a nuance, you pick up an idea like, wow, I can't believe the kavanah, or how he treated his wife, or how he, whatever, fill in the blank. It's not just the Torah that you get from them, but also to get a way of life. Because if the person truly is a gadol, then they're not just walking the walk, right? They're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk as well. And that's very important. There's a story I know I told, but it was a long time ago. But if I forgot if I told it where I did it, I'll tell it again. Rav Arush, Huchel Chesed in Yerushalayim. I told you before, I know I love how he writes. I don't like how he speaks, but that's okay. He didn't ask my opinion. Someone came to him to ask him a question. Evidently, someone was having a very bad shalom bayit problem. And he asked, do you think it'd be worthwhile for me to go to the kotel and put a note in the kotel? He says, no. He says, really? He says, people do it all the time. He says, no. Write the note and then go down the street and you know so-and-so, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, they go by their house. Put the note by their wall because that's the absolute paradigm what shalom bayit is. What does that mean? The point of the story is that you want to not just have a good home, but also you should have it to such an extent that people look at it and say, wow, that's amazing. What's Shalom Bayit? And that's not an issue of being non-sanua. It's because it's not just in the home, it's outside the home. It's when people come to home. It's what it, oh, I had a thought, it just went out of my head. It'll come back to me, probably 2 a.m. Oh, well. Anyways, so this Mishnah is about the home. Now let's take a look at the next Mishnah. This one is going to sound a little bad, okay? Especially to our modern ears. So I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time on it, but let's first talk about it. And I'm also going to pose a few questions about it. Okay, Yosef ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim Omer. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention, where's the last Mishnah was Yosef ben Yochanan ish Tzreida. Where's Tzreida? There's a couple possible opinions. I forgot to mention that. So there's 2 opinions. One is it's the Shomron, that it is where Yerovam ben Nevat basically grew up. Who wouldn't want to be associated with him, who was the Choteu Machti et Harabim, bringing Avot Zarah to Am Yisrael? Who wouldn't want that? And the other possibility is that he was closer to Yerushalayim, but close to Beit El. And it makes more sense, in my humble opinion, to say he was in the area of Beit El, because he was a zug with Yosef ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim. So that's why I would think, but who am I? I don't know.
Wasn't it easier for him also to keep things because he wasn't to not be influenced by the outside
I'm not sure
secular forces?
Who was it?
Yossi
ben
ben
Yochanan.
Yochai.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was like a little further away.
Yes. Yes. That's also a possibility. Maybe. I don't know. I didn't think about that. That's very good. Maybe so. Yosef ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim Omer. Your home should be wide open. But don't lock your doors. Leave your windows open. Shisim, and he wants to come in. That's not what it means, obviously. And the poor should be, I'm just going to say members of your house. Don't have too many conversations with women. It's not really what it says, but I'm translating it like that right now. They said that actually about a man's wife. Even more so not to have too many conversations with other women than your own wife. From this, the Chachamim said, the more a person spends talking with guys to women, he causes evil for himself, and he neglects his Torah, and eventually he's going to end up getting a great inheritance called hell. Wow, that's a real pick-me-up. So I'm meeting with all the women hereafter. We're going to spend a few hours talking. And so, no, obviously not. Well, okay, what does this mean? So there are a few possible meanings to this, but let's first talk in the general term of what this is about. You'll notice that these two, Yosef ben Yoezer and Yochanan ben, I don't remember his name, were the Zug, right? They're the Abedin and Nasi. And what's the topic in both of them right now? It's the home. So what Susie picked up before was very critical. This time period, it saw a degradation in home life because of the influences outside the home. So both of them felt they needed to have some chizuk when it came to the home. That's why they both talk about the home. But the truth is that this Mishnah doesn't really flow. Why? Because he's talking about the home. He's talking about, be open. What does it mean, be open? We'll see. What does it mean? And also he talks about, the aniyim should be in your home. Oh, by the way, don't talk to women. Like, how does that really flow? So let's talk a little bit about this, and I'm going to read something to you. The last Mishnah, the one where we saw it should be open to the Chachamim, was very specific. Chachamim, Shurim, bring Torah into the house. Now the next Mishnah says it should be open. What's the difference? Because he's saying, I'm not qualifying it anymore. Your home needs to be a safe place. Your home needs to be a place where people feel welcome, where people will want to come, whether they need help, whether they need ear to talk to. It doesn't have to be just about coming to hear a shiur. There's a very big difference between those two. He's focusing, the first one is focus, and both are right. The first opinion is not opinion. First Mishne is focusing more on the Torah aspect and bringing the Torah and following the footsteps of the Torah scholars and everything. And the next Mishne, he's focusing more on just the general idea of people being able to feel comfortable coming into your home. I'm sure you've gone to some people's homes where you just don't feel comfortable, either the way they talk to each other, they talk to you, or the house is, the word mivulgan is a good word if you don't know that. The word balagan, like it's just an absolute. Someone just sent me a video clip yesterday. A girl is standing in the hallway of an apartment building, and just then the guy who owns the apartment is about to walk in, and she says, "I just want you to know, I just called the police. Your door is open, and it looks like you've been robbed. There's stuff everywhere." And he goes in, he looks around, and like, no. Says maybe it's time I get a cleaning service though. So, okay, so yeah, okay, and we've all been in homes that make us feel, for whatever reason, a little bit uncomfortable. I did have one situation with my wife many years ago, not in Israel, where we were somewhere for Shabbat, and we both could not wait to get out of there. We had eaten Shabbat morning with the family, if you can call it that. We call it food, and we couldn't wait to get out of there. They have since long been divorced and both had mental health issues. Boy, that's shocking. Anyways, so that's that. Okay. There's a pasuk in Iyov that says, "Daltai la'orach eftach." My doors will be open to visitors. Orach, orchim. So his thing in this Mishnah is more about not just Torah, which it is, hachnasat orchim. Hachnasat orchim is Torah. How do I know that? We say, it says, Gadol hachnasat orchim mikvalat pnei hashchina. The bringing in guests into your home is more important than even greeting God himself. What does that mean? So there's a pasuk in the beginning of Parshat Vayera, a couple of weeks ago, where Avraham Avinu is sitting in his tent, right? And he starts to, I just told this Torah somewhere. I don't remember what context it was even. Avraham Avinu is sitting there, it's Kechom Hayom, it's very hot, and he sees three people, and he runs out to them and says to them, did I tell you this? Okay, says, Adonai, al na tavo me'al avdecha. Says, please, if I found favor, you guys, please don't leave. Come on in. So when he's saying Adonai, he's talking as plural of Adon, my masters, or he's talking to Hashem. He's saying, Hashem, I'll be right back. I have to deal with these. But then if that's the case, if it's really Hashem's name, it's out of order. Because it says that Avraham ran out of the tent. Then he says to Hashem, I'll be right back. He should have said it while he was in the tent. Right? So it means that his body was on autopilot. To do him, he saw mitzvah even when he was with Hashem Kiviyachol more strongly, his body was on autopilot. But what does it mean? How can he live Hashem's presence? Because he's doing Achnasat Orchim. It's even more important than being with Hashem himself. And we learned that from Hashem himself. And that's part of what this mission is as well, is that our ability to do Achnasat Orchim and make people feel comfortable. So we have on the one hand the Talmud Torah, the Gemilut Chasadim, together between the two. We have the Talmud Torah from the first Mishnah, Gemilut Chasadim, which is Achnasat Orchim in this Mishnah. And also Rabbeinu Yon tells us something else. That what does it mean? Take a look at the words again of the Mishnah. It says, "V'hiyu aniyim b'nei beitecha." That poor people. Let me say I have the English here somewhere. Hold on. You see, how does it say in English? Let the poor be members of your household. Well, I don't know. I don't feel too comfortable with that. You find some people on the streets, just kind of come on down. We're not talking about Achnasat Orchim now.
It says treat the poor as members.
Ah.
Maybe give them work. Awesome.
Ah, you're right. You're right. You're not. You didn't say anything. So you're left. Yeah. Don't talk to me about left.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many possible reasons, and you touched on a couple. Number one is that a poor person who comes into your home should be made to feel like they're the member of the house. They should not be meant to feel like an outcast. Make them feel comfortable. I'm talking with a guy who comes, I'm going to just give me 5 shekel. That's not enough money. I told you I'm taking money back from people, right? Yeah, that's the fun part. The fakers. So make them feel, welcome. The other is to treat them like family. Don't treat them with disrespect. They've maybe fallen on hard times. And again, I'm not talking about those that are self-perpetuating, self-made paupers. That's a different story. How you have to deal with them, and you have to still have a responsibility, but the way you have to relate to them may be different. Okay, so now let's talk about this al tarbesicha im haisha. Oh, we're out of time. We almost are, but I'm
You plan.
yeah, I'm gonna just talk about 5 more stories first, and then you know what? Let's go on to the next Mishne. I remember I taught this Mishne years and years ago. For some reason, it was part of I gave a tefillah class. It was women only in Chicago, and for some reason, this Mishne came up. I don't remember what context. Oy vey. It was not easy. Okay, not easy. Okay, let me go to this next thing here. Okay, where is it? Oh, here it is. There's a Malbim. Malbim lived in the 1800s. There's a Malbim that discusses this Mishnah at length. What I think I'm going to do, I'm going to, where is it? Oh, sorry, maybe it was the Maharal. Maybe it's the Maharal. Yeah. Hold on, I'm sorry. No, I didn't. This I'm not doing on purpose. Yeah, sure. Thanks for the confidence. Okay. I do have it here. Ah. Okay. I'm going to read the questions. He has a series of questions, and I will, Bezrat Hashem, next week, get into the answers, because if I do it now, it'll take another half an hour. No, maybe not a half hour, but it'll take a little while. But I want to tell you about the questions he asks. I'm going to read them to you. I'm going to ask some questions about the statement that he makes. That he said, he says your home should be wide open, and the poor people should feel at home. What's what does it have to do? What's the price have to do with the price of tea in China? Your home should be open. I mentioned this before. Your home should be open. Should treat Yanim like family, or make them feel at home, give them a job, whatever it might be. Oh, and don't spend too much time talking to women. What's the connection? That's question 1. Furthermore, Shamar bi'ishto, it says, well, they referred to talking too much to his own wife. Who said that? Where'd you get that from? Oh, we're talking about just his wife at first. It should have said, you shouldn't talk too much with your own wife, and more so even with the wife of your friend. What does it mean? And furthermore, just the fact that you talk too much with your wife or someone else, what is the ra'ah is a very strong word. They say it's not sanua, it's not this. To say it's evil, where do you come up with that? And furthermore, va'od shamasha bitel midivrei Torah. Kol mi shemarbe medaber sicha betela botel midivrei Torah. V'lo habitzarich lomar davar zeh. He says, was it even necessary to say that? What does that mean? What do you mean you're taking your time away from Torah? Anything you do that's not Torah related, you're taking away from Torah. Why dafka does he say you're talking too much to women? Oh, you're taking away from Torah. Well, yeah, if I'm on Netflix, I'm also taking away time from Torah. No? And finally, he says, Shama yored Gehenom, that he's going to go down to Gehenom for this. What in the world are you talking about? He's not sleeping with other women. He's talking to other women. For that, he's going to go down to Gehenom. That's the. So this the Maharal is pretty much saying is that I don't understand the flow of the Mishnah. I don't understand the point of what he's trying to say. He's using these are leading questions. These are not like, I don't know. He doesn't end up like that. He obviously is going to give us some answers. We'll see next week. I did see one comment. I don't remember where I saw it. It's not in any of the classic commentaries. I went looking for it. And when it says al tabasicha im haisha, many people refer to it means the woman, meaning the wife, his wife. But I saw some other comment, which really I thought fit, but it doesn't necessarily flow in the Mishnah. Not to talk too much to a woman who thinks she's the woman. Like, well, I'm really hot stuff. I'm important. I'm special, right? I'm to talk to someone like that. You know, that's a problem. what does that mean? But that's my point. So I understand. But unfortunately, the Mishnayot are written towards men. Right. I am. We will not be meeting now for the next eight or 10 weeks. We will be skipping class now we're going to pick it up next year in Parak Gimel. Just you catch up on your own. Right. No, we'll talk. He has some very interesting comments, and I'll probably spend most of the class next week just on that topic. That's why I say it doesn't flow, it doesn't fit, and that's just get it. But so what is this business? If he wants to tell us that we shouldn't spend too much time in idle chatter, which does come up a few times in Pirke, well, just say that. If you want to say don't spend too much time in idle chatter with a woman who's not your wife, say that. Gehenna, Ra'an, something. And again, what does it have to do? Let your home be wide open. It's not like come on, all the women, come on down.
Maybe if you also should just do it and not ask your wife according to this, because she'll say no.
Well, that's important also.
Sports and stuff, so guys maybe they didn't talk as much idle chatter as they do, but nowadays like guys do sports, they talk as much idle chatter.
Yeah, but then they probably went, did you see the game at the Gladiator Stadium yesterday? Did you see that guy get stabbed? Yeah. Man, he could have done it in 2. It took him 3 times to kill him, I don't know. If not more. Yeah, depending on the situation. So yeah, it's obviously a topic we have to explore. I'll leave it up to you. And Bezrat Hashem will pick it up next week on that topic. Okay? Yeah. Hopefully Mashiach will come in the meantime and I'll have to deal with it.
Next week is Zoom only.